In the shadowed vaults of forgotten archives, a single reel of audio, crackling with static from 1934, has resurfaced after nearly a century of deliberate burial. Nikola Tesla, the visionary inventor whose experiments bent the laws of electricity and challenged the cosmos, uttered words in a private interview that were deemed too revolutionary, too metaphysical for public ears. Suppressed by handlers fearing they would unravel the fabric of scientific orthodoxy, this lost recording reveals Tesla's unpublished theories on consciousness as an eternal force, hidden truths that blur the line between matter and mind. What if the genius who harnessed lightning knew the secret to what lies beyond death? Listen closely. These echoes from the ether could redefine your reality. It was a crisp autumn evening in 1934, high atop the New Yorker Hotel in New York City on the 33rd floor, where Nikola Tesla had retreated into isolation. Once the toast of the scientific world, celebrated for alternating current and wireless transmission, Tesla now lived in obscurity. Corporate rivals had siphoned his patents, investors had fled, and the press had branded him a relic. Amid this exile, a persistent reporter, his identity redacted in surviving notes, secured a rare audience. Tesla, gaunt and intense at 78, agreed to speak not for glory, but to unburden a lifetime of suppressed insights. Underscore quote, _0, he reportedly insisted, his voice barely above a whisper as the room's antique phonograph captured fragments before he demanded it stop. What emerged later, pieced from the reporter's handwritten recollections, archived in a private collection, and only recently authenticated, paints a portrait of a man wrestling with the unseen architecture of existence, doubts that haunted his unpublished manuscripts on vibration and the ether. As the city lights flickered below like distant synapses firing, Tesla leaned forward, his eyes gleaming with the fervor of one who had peered into forbidden realms. The core of his revelation struck at the heart of creation itself. The universe, he confided, is no random explosion of particles, but a deliberate symphony orchestrated by a primal intelligence, a conscious field that infuses every atom with purpose. Quote 1, the reporter recalled Tesla saying, his hands tracing invisible currents in the air. Quote 2, this wasn't idle philosophy. It stemmed from Tesla's clandestine experiments in Colorado Springs decades earlier, where he built oscillators to probe the __quote_3__, that invisible medium he believed permeated space, storing the imprints of thought and intent like a cosmic ledger. Unpublished notes, smuggled out after his death, describe how he intercepted signals not from stars, but from this etheric repository, fleeting impressions of guidance, as if the universe itself were whispering directives to those attuned enough to hear. The conversation deepened into psychological shadows, Tesla's voice dropping to a reverent hush as he explored the fragility of human perception. He spoke of consciousness not as a byproduct of the brain, but as an external vibration tuning into our fragile receivers, our minds, much like a radio catches waves from afar. Doubt gnawed at me during long nights in the lab, the transcript reconstructs, capturing his philosophical turmoil. I questioned reality's veil. If electricity can traverse voids without loss, why assume the self ends at the body's edge? My manuscripts on resonance, buried in drawers to evade scrutiny, reveal the brain as a mere antenna, amplifying signals from a boundless source. Here existential tension coiled tighter. Tesla confessed a profound unease about death's illusion, the fear that society's materialist lens blinds us to our interconnected essence. The reporter pressed, probing the scientist's shift from empiricism to mysticism, and Tesla replied with quiet intensity, "Instruments measure shadows, but intuition unveils the light. I felt the ether respond not as echo, but as awareness, suggesting we're threads in a vast neural web, our thoughts eternally archived beyond flesh." Transitioning from these revelations, Tesla's gaze drifted to the window, where rain streaked the glass like tears from the sky. He elaborated on the mechanics of the soul, framing it through his suppressed research on frequencies. Emotions as measurable waves, love resonating at the universe's foundational pitch, fear distorting it into dissonance. This led to an unrevealed layer of his work, experiments with emotional transmitters, detailed in charred drafts from his hotel safe, exploring how human intent could ripple through the ether, influencing distant events. The psychological intrigue peaked as he pondered the isolation of genius. In solitude, truths emerge unbidden, but they terrify. What if our doubts about death are the ether's way of urging awakening? Consciousness, I suspect, persists as vibration, looping through the field long after the body quiets, perhaps reforming in unforeseen harmonies, a speculative echo of the light that birthed us. Yet in this reconstructed dialogue, Tesla ventured further into uncharted speculation, a reflection pieced from fragmented annotations not voiced in the original exchange, but aligned with his etheric visions. Imagine consciousness after death not as oblivion, but as a liberated frequency, untethered from the brain's limits, merging with the primordial field to witness realities we can scarcely dream. Eternal observers in the grand equation, guiding the living through subtle resonances. As the interview waned, the room heavy with unspoken weight, Tesla rose and extinguished the lamp, plunging them into twilight. The reporter's final notes end abruptly. He warned that unveiling these truths too soon invites suppression, for they challenge the gods of progress. What hidden archives still guard Tesla's final equations on the afterlife? In an era of awakening, dare we tune in to hear? Fade in. Dimly lit room on the 33rd floor of the New Yorker Hotel, New York City, 1934. Rain lashes against the tall windows as thunder rumbles in the distance. The air is thick with the scent of old books and ozone from a nearby electrical apparatus. Narrator's voice, grave and measured, overlays the scene like a whispered confidential briefing. Narrator. In the shadowed archives of history, buried under layers of official narratives and corporate seals, lies a transcript long suppressed. A clandestine interview with Nikola Tesla, the visionary inventor whose genius threatened to unravel the fabric of reality itself. Recorded in secrecy on a stormy night in 1934, this lost recording was deemed too dangerous, too revelatory, to ever see the light. Hidden away by those who feared its power, it speaks of unseen forces, eternal consciousness, and a truth that could shatter the illusion of our mortal coil. What Tesla confided that evening challenges everything we believe about life, death, and the hidden architecture of the universe. Cut 2. Tesla, gaunt and intense, seated across from the reporter in a worn leather armchair. The reporter, notebook in hand, leans forward, his face illuminated by a single desk lamp. The camera lingers on a stack of yellowed manuscripts tucked behind Tesla, unpublished notes on resonance, consciousness, and the ether. Narrator. Nikola Tesla, the electrifying mind behind alternating current and wireless transmission, was no stranger to suppression. By 1934, at 77 years old, he lived in relative isolation. his groundbreaking projects dismantled by industrial giants and government overseers. This interview, conducted by a persistent journalist seeking the man behind the myth, was meant to be routine. But what unfolded was no mere conversation. It was a veiled confession, a scientist's philosophical reckoning with the mysteries he uncovered in his labs and dreams. Overlooked for decades, dismissed as the ramblings of a fading genius, this material resurfaced only recently from a forgotten vault, raising questions. Was Tesla silenced to protect society, or to preserve a fragile control over human potential? Tesla gazes out at the flickering city lights, his voice emerging soft, yet resonant, as if echoing from another dimension. The reporter shifts uncomfortably, sensing the weight of unspoken revelations. Tesla, we were not created from clay, as one book writes, and not from a random molecule, as another claims. We were formed as a response, as an answer to the call of the light. The reporter slowly nods, not taking his eyes off the speaker. Everything happening seems like a dream. Tesla, yet in this exile from the source, we grapple with shadows, suffering that sharpens the soul, death that veils the eternal. Why the veil? Why the torment? It is no cruel jest, but a deliberate forge. Cast adrift, we must rediscover the hum of creation, not through sight or sound, but through the quiet ache of longing. Each breath, each trial, is a rung on the ladder back to unity. The blind regain vision in darkness. The wanderer treasures the homeward trail. Thunder cracks outside, syncing with a subtle hum from Tesla's hidden coil prototype on the shelf. The camera pans slowly across dusty blueprints, sketches of energy fields that mimic neural patterns, building an aura of forbidden ingenuity. Narrator. At the heart of Tesla's suppressed work lay a core revelation, one that bridged his scientific pursuits with profound existential inquiry. In unpublished manuscripts, locked away after his death, he detailed experiments on cellular resonance, vibrations that could harmonize the body with universal frequencies, eradicating disease, and perhaps even transcending mortality. But this knowledge was buried, deemed a threat to the status quo. Tesla, leaning forward, eyes alight with restrained fervor. I stood on the precipice of it all once, a resonance, born in my laboratory, that pulsed through living tissue like a forgotten symphony. Illnesses fled before it, vitality surged anew. But they halted me, those guardians of the veil, whispering that humanity was unready. Underscore, underscore, quote underscore 9, underscore, underscore, they said. Quote, 10 chaos? No. Awakening? The reporter's pen scratches furiously, but his hand trembles. Tesla's words hang heavy, the room's shadows deepening as if the light itself recoils. Tesla. They thrive in our ignorance, these sentinels between truth and the throng. It serves them when we see ourselves as mere meat and dust, adrift in a void where death devours all. Such souls are pliant, fearful, unquestioning, chained to the wheel of survival. But ignite that inner spark, and the chains dissolve. You ask what to do? Stir from slumber. Attune not your ears, but the essence within. Every being harbors that primordial glow, dimmed yet defiant. One flame kindles legions. Soft transition. The reporter unclenches his fists, the storm outside mirroring his inner turmoil. Cut to close-up of Tesla's face, etched with the scars of battles unseen. Patents stolen. Visions dismissed. Narrator. From this core, Tesla's mind expanded into realms where science dissolved into philosophy, probing the psychological labyrinth of consciousness. His doubts were not of formulas, but of the human spirit. Suppressed notes reveal his late-night reflections on reality's illusions, where death emerges not as annihilation, but as a perceptual shift, a philosopher's query into the mind's hidden architectures. Tesla, pausing, his gaze turning introspective. Fear of death? It grips us because we mistake the shell for the self. I have witnessed lights vanishing, not extinction, but a clever concealment, folding into spectra beyond our grasp. So too with the body. It dims, yet the core endures, tuning to subtler wavelengths. We do not dissolve, we reintegrate, drawn back to the originating force. And in fleeting states betwixt slumber and dawn, I have traversed those folds. Consciousness unmoored, I beheld time's facade crumble. Past echoes, future whispers, souls unbound by sequence. All coexist in the eternal now. Agonies resolved, ecstasies unveiled, every divergence circling home. A flash of lightning illuminates Tesla's subtle, sorrowful smile. The reporter leans in, voice hushed, as if afraid to break the spell. Reporter, if the soul persists eternally, why the veil of agony? Why do we perish in dread? Tesla, rising slowly, pacing to the window where rain streaks like tears. Amnesia is the journey's crucible. Envision a voyage where memory is stripped bare. You arrive nameless, purposeless, endpoint obscured. Therein lies the quest. To reclaim awareness, not through intellect's grasp, but the spirit's whisper. Pain, a fleeting mist across boundless radiance. The body is transient, you are not. Fears, sensations, the very world, they are missives, encoded hints from the cosmos. Decipher them, and terror yields to illumination. He touches an antique globe on the desk, its surface humming faintly under his palm. A cinematic bridge to deeper mysteries, the camera swirling like eddying thoughts. Narrator, Tesla's expansions delved further, intertwining his electromagnetic theories with the psyche's uncharted depths. In overlooked journals, he pondered archetypes of the mind, symbolic deaths that presage rebirth, inner realms where consciousness communes with the infinite. Tesla, my pursuits transcended wires and waves, they sought reality's scaffolding. Matter? A mere veneer. Consciousness weaves the cosmos' true tapestry, electric, eternal, resonant. The reporter sits transfixed, the boundary between observer and initiate blurring. Tesla returns to his seat, voice dropping to a conspiratorial timbre. Tesla. And consider this, uncharted in my notes, yet glimpsed in quiet reverie. After death, consciousness may not merely persist but evolve, merging with collective awareness, a vast neural web where individual echoes harmonize into symphonies of rediscovered unity, free from isolation's echo. Silence envelops the room, broken only by the storm's receding growl. Tesla's eyes close briefly, as if listening to an inner current. Narrator. As the interview drew toward its close, Tesla's words lingered like an unsolved equation, compelling us to question the boundaries of existence. Tesla, softly with finality. Time slips from me now. I sense its current pulling. But in that return, perhaps the greatest discovery awaits. Not in labs or lightning, but in the light we all carry, waiting to be reclaimed. What if death is not the end, but the key to remembering who we truly are? Fade in. Dimly lit archive room, shadows dancing across dusty shelves lined with forgotten reels and yellowed manuscripts, a solitary figure, the narrator, speaks in a hushed, urgent tone over flickering images of 1930s New York City skyline. Narrator. In the hidden vaults of history, buried beneath layers of official records and corporate secrets, lies a transcript long suppressed a forbidden conversation from 1934, captured in the solitude of Nikola Tesla's suite on the 33rd floor of the New Yorker Hotel. This wasn't meant for the public eye. Tesla himself ordered it sealed, fearing the world wasn't ready for its implications. But now, as echoes of his genius resurface, we uncover what was meant to stay lost: Tesla's final revelations on the eternal dance between energy, consciousness, and the void beyond death. What if the man who harnessed lightning knew the secret to what happens when the light goes out? Smooth transition, cut to sepia-toned recreation. 1934, Tesla's cluttered room overlooking the bustling streets of New York. Rain patters against the window. Nikola Tesla, frail yet intense, sits across from the reporter, a wide-eyed journalist clutching a worn notebook. The air hums with unspoken electricity. Narrator: Nikola Tesla, the visionary inventor whose alternating current illuminated the modern world, had retreated to this high perch in 1934, a year before his death. At 77, isolated and penniless, he confided in a select few. This interview, scribbled in haste and hidden away by the reporter at Tesla's insistence, was overlooked for decades, dismissed as the ravings of a mad genius or worse, buried by interests who profited from his silence. Why? Because Tesla's words challenged not just science but the very fabric of existence, probing the unseen forces that bind life to the infinite. Tesla pauses, his eyes distant, as if tuning into an invisible frequency. The reporter leans forward, pen poised. Tesla, you're not the first to ask these questions, but perhaps you're one of the first to truly hear them. He closes his eyes briefly, as if sensing an inner rhythm. I don't have much time left. I feel it not physically, but energetically, like an inner pendulum, slowing to rest. Yet the fear has vanished, because I know what awaits. Reporter, what comes next? Tesla opens his eyes, a gentle spark igniting his gaze. He rises slowly, gesturing to the city lights below, a web of energy pulsing in the night. Tesla, it will be like awakening from a profound slumber, rejoining the vibrations from which we've been parted. We've wandered from the source, not out of sin but by intention, to discover ourselves in isolation, in the confines of form. At death, the reconnection ignites. The soul recalls its essence, who it is, whence it came. He paces the room, his steps measured, the floorboards creaking like whispers from the ether. Outside, thunder rumbles faintly, mirroring his thoughts. Narrator. Here, in this suppressed transcript, Tesla unveils his core revelation, not as abstract theory, but as a scientist's unyielding conviction forged in the fires of experimentation. Energy, he insisted, defies annihilation. It transforms eternally. And consciousness? The subtlest vibration of all, indestructible, threading through every invention he birthed. Tesla, stopping at the window, his reflection merging with the storm-swept skyline. Energy never perishes. That's the unbreakable law of the universe. It shifts forms but vanishes? Impossible. Thus consciousness endures, for it is energy in its finest state. I pleaded with my fellow scientists to grasp this. They scoffed. Quote 11. But I countered. Quote 12. He turns sharply, his voice gaining intensity, shadows playing across his lined face. Tesla. Silence met my challenge. Picture in boundless ocean, edgeless, bottomless, you, a fleeting wave, feel distinct, shaped, surging. Yet when you merge back, all that defined you persists in the depths, unlost, transformed into the whole. Not erased, but expanded. Reporter, in a hushed tone, awe creeping in. So, after death, we return to God? Tesla, a faint smile, almost pitying. Greater than God, to the origin from which even divinity springs. The notion of God is but a shadow, too narrow for that boundless force. It transcends shapes, icons, creeds. It is all. The reporter stares, transfixed. The room's single lamp flickers, as if the words draw power from the air itself. Narrator. From this pivotal insight, Tesla's mind expands into profound philosophical depths, weaving his scientific doubts with existential intrigue. Death to him wasn't an end, but a threshold. A philosophical riddle where suppressed knowledge on reality's illusions unravels. He questioned the arrogance of materialism, his unpublished manuscripts, hinting at experiments that blurred mind and matter, all while grappling with the human psyche's terror of oblivion. Tesla, lowering his voice to a near whisper as if sharing a guarded secret. I poured this into lectures, writings, yet ears turned deaf, or willful blindness prevailed. They craved equations, validations, sketches. But this verity defies quantification. It demands immersion, a felt resonance. Now with age etching my frame, I speak unreservedly. If but one soul absorbs it, the effort endures. He sinks into a chair, the weight of years evident, yet his spirit unbowed. The reporter nods, scribbling furiously, the scratch of pencil amplifying the intimacy. Tesla. This exchange isn't for headlines or spectacle. I instructed your predecessor, keep it veiled. Document it, conceal it. He obeyed. Perhaps only today does the hour align. Reporter startled, glancing at the door. Why reveal it now? Tesla. Locking eyes, piercing as a probe. The world teeters on the precipice, technology's promise twisting toward ruin. Humanity crafts marvels, yet forsakes its core. We soar through clouds, but shun the inner cosmos. Death terrifies because life remains opaque. It's time to reclaim the forgotten. A heavy silence descends. The city's hum fades into stillness, the room a cocoon of revelation. Then Tesla breaks it, his tone resolute. Tesla, you inquired about our creators? Pausing, as if aligning cosmic gears. Consciousness willed itself into matter, light yearned to embody form. We are its mirrors, its venture, its odyssey. No chance encounter. We embody purpose. Reporter, whispering, heart pounding. If we're this venture, was there design? A blueprint? Tesla, nodding deliberately. Indeed, intricate beyond mortal scope. We're shards, dispersed into the tangible to probe its mysteries. Sensors of the infinite, trials in flesh. We emerge, sense, cherish, err, and all feeds back to the vast field, the so-called divine intellect. Why? For self-knowledge. Unity knows no discovery. Fracture births awareness. No shadow, no light's glory, no dread, no love's depth. Through our myriad paths, it comprehends itself. The reporter averts his eyes, overwhelmed. Tesla rises, crossing to a bookshelf shrouded in dust. He retrieves a frayed notebook, its pages brittle with secrets. Narrator. Tesla's philosophical expansion deepens here, laced with psychological intrigue, the inner doubts of a mind that danced with the unseen. His suppressed manuscripts like this one questioned reality's veils, positing consciousness as the universe's hidden architect, forever pondering death's symbolic rebirth. Tesla, handing the notebook over, his grip lingering. Humanity possesses purpose, yet we've veered astray. These are my concealed reckonings, blueprints for an apparatus to heighten thought's resonance, to channel consciousness's pulse into the void. Reporter? And what transpired in the initial trial? Tesla, a shadow of excitement, then gravity. Street lamps dimmed across the block. Radios sputtered into chaos. The ether responded as if the veil thinned, allowing thoughts to ripple outward like unchecked waves. He gestures animatedly, the notebook open to intricate diagrams, coils, frequencies, annotations on underscore underscore quote underscore 13 underscore underscore underscore. The reporter pores over it, the pages seeming to hum. Narrator. In this lost recording's atmosphere, evoked through the reporter's frantic notes, we sense the forbidden thrill. Tesla's experiments, stifled by skeptics and rivals, hinted at consciousness's reach beyond the corporeal, amplifying the tension of what lies suppressed. Tesla, leaning in, voice laced with urgency. Those trials unearthed doubts I harbored long. Is reality but a frequency we tune? Death, then, a retuning. Not loss, but liberation from the illusion of separation. Philosophers chase archetypes. I measured them in volts and waves, only to find the psyche's depths unchartable by instruments alone. The reporter sets the notebook down, the room's shadows lengthening as twilight deepens outside. Narrator. And now, a speculative echo from Tesla's untapped musings, aligned with his etheric visions. Imagine consciousness after death not merely returning, but evolving, merging with a collective archive of all minds where individual echoes harmonize into symphonies of universal insight, forever refining the cosmos's grand equation. Tesla. Softly, almost to himself as the conversation winds toward closure. We've glimpsed the stars, yet the greatest mystery orbits within, eternal, vibrating, waiting for us to listen. The reporter closes his notebook, the weight of the words settling like dust. Tesla turns to the window, the city lights reigniting below, a testament to his legacy and a challenge to ours. Narrator. As the transcript ends abruptly, one question lingers in the ether. If Tesla's hidden truths on consciousness's immortality were right, what undiscovered potentials flicker just beyond our grasp? Suppressed by fear or forgotten by time? Fade out. The archive room reappears, the transcript file sealed once more, but its secrets now echoing into the present. Fade in. Dimly lit archive room 2023. A dusty wooden box creaks open under a single hanging bulb. Inside, yellowed pages flutter like trapped moths. A narrator's voice, grave and measured, cuts through the silence. Narrator, V.O. In the shadowed vaults of history, some truths are buried deeper than secrets. What if a genius's final confession, sealed away for nearly a century, held the key to unlocking the human mind? This is the story of a lost interview conducted in 1934 on the 33rd floor of New York City's New Yorker Hotel. Nikola Tesla, the visionary inventor whose alternating current lit the world, spoke words that were never meant to see the light. Suppressed by forces unseen, these transcripts vanished into obscurity, dismissed as the ramblings of a man on the edge. But now, rediscovered in a forgotten drawer, they challenge everything we believe about consciousness and what lies beyond death. Cut 2. Black and white recreation. Rain lashes the windows of Tesla's modest hotel room. Thunder rumbles distantly. Tesla, gaunt and intense, paces before a young reporter seated in a worn armchair. The air hums with unspoken tension. Narrator, V.O. It was July 1934. Tesla, then 78, lived in seclusion amid financial ruin and fading fame. His groundbreaking work on electricity had been overshadowed by rivals like Edison, and whispers of his more radical ideas, devices that could harness the mind's invisible forces, drew suspicion from powerful interests. Governments and corporations feared what he might unleash. This interview, arranged covertly by a persistent journalist, was meant to be a quiet legacy. Instead, it became a forbidden archive, locked away after Tesla's death 3 months later, in January 1937. He died alone without heirs, his papers scattered and seized. Why? Because in those hushed confessions, Tesla revealed not just science, but a blueprint for human liberation, one that threatened the chains of control. Smooth transition? The camera lingers on Tesla's flickering eyes as if peering into his turbulent thoughts. Soft static, like an old radio, underscores the shift. Tesla, leaning forward, voice steady but edged with urgency. I tried to build a device capable of amplifying thought, concentrating the vibration of consciousness, and projecting it into the ether. Do you know what happened when I ran the first experiment? Reporter, eyes widening, pen poised. What? Tesla. The streetlights began to go out, radios malfunctioned. People complained of strange dreams. It wasn't a failure, it was a response. Space was listening. Pause. Tesla straightens, his silhouette sharp against the storm-lit skyline. The reporter shifts uncomfortably, sensing the weight of revelation. Narrator, V.O. This was no ordinary experiment. Tesla's unpublished research delved into the ether, the unseen medium he believed connected all matter and mind. He saw consciousness not as a fleeting spark in the brain, but as a tangible force, a vibration rippling through reality itself. In suppressed manuscripts, later confiscated, he sketched diagrams of resonators that could tune the human psyche like a wireless signal. But as the tests escalated, anomalies spread. Vivid nightmares across the city, whispers of collective unease. The ether, Tesla claimed, was alive, echoing back humanity's hidden potentials. Cut 2. Close up on Tesla's hands, trembling slightly as he gestures to an invisible diagram in the air. Lightning flashes, illuminating blueprints scattered on a table, now imagined as redacted pages from the hidden transcript. Tesla, voice lowering, almost a whisper. And then they came. Men in ties, without emotion. They stormed in one stormy night, much like this one, and demanded, I cease, underscore, underscore, quote, underscore 14, underscore, underscore, they said. What terrified them? That I had proven thought is material, consciousness is power, and if every person grasps that power, their own infinite capacity, they'll shatter the illusions of servitude. No more blind obedience to machines or masters. The world as they know it ends. Reporter, hesitant, glancing at the door. But how? What exactly did your device reveal? Tesla, eyes distant, as if reliving the shutdown. It broadcast a fragment of the universal mind. For a moment, New York felt it, a tremor in the soul. Dreams intertwined, barriers between minds thinned. I saw it in the reports. Strangers sharing visions of forgotten lifetimes, glimpses of what lies beyond the veil of flesh. They called it madness. I called it awakening. Transition. The room seems to pulse with ethereal light. We dissolve into abstract visuals, vibrating waves, neural patterns merging, evoking Tesla's philosophical doubts about reality's fragility. Narrator, V.O. Here Tesla's words veer from science into profound psychological intrigue. He questioned the boundaries of self, pondering if consciousness was merely electrical impulses or something eternal, woven into the cosmos. In this overlooked dialogue, he expands on death not as an end, but a frequency shift, a philosophical riddle that haunted his later years. Suppressed by those who profited from ignorance, these ideas forced him to confront his own isolation. A man who saw too much, doubted too deeply, and paid the price in silence. Tesla, sitting heavily, pain etching his face. Imagine, my friend, the fear that grips humanity, fear of illness, loss, oblivion, it's all rooted in forgetting. My work, it pierced that veil. When consciousness vibrates at its purest, diseases fade like echoes. Memories of our true origins flood back. And death? It dissolves. We are not fragile bodies trapped in time. We are fire, sparks of the divine ether, eternal and unbound. The body falls, but the vibration endures, connecting us to the whole. Reporter, voice soft, probing. And this awakening you speak of? A mass shift? What would it look like? Tesla, nodding slowly, intensity building. A wave? Unstoppable. People would perceive the invisible threads, the synchronicities that bind us. Lightning strikes not by chance, but as the universe's reply. Feel that thunder now? It's no coincidence. Everything is linked. One grand vibration. Obey that rhythm, and you'll hear the unheard. The cosmos whispering your name. No more slaves to fear. We step into power, into oneness. Smooth transition. The storm intensifies outside. Tesla rises, moving to the window. The reporter follows, the air thick with existential weight. Subtle sound design. A low hum, like the device's residue. Narrator, VO. Tesla's revelations carried a deeper tension, a psychological labyrinth. He wrestled with doubts about his own sanity. Had the ether spoken to him, or was it delusion? Yet in this hidden recording, reconstructed from faded notes, he offers a bridge. Consciousness, as the ultimate explorer, probing realities science dares not touch. Tesla, turning to the reporter, gaze piercing. You've felt it, haven't you? That pull towards something greater. Your silence tells me so. Then the spark has ignited in you. My life's work, buried in patents and prototypes, finds purpose now, not in wires and coils, but in minds like yours, ready to question. Pause. Thunder crashes closer, shaking the room. Tesla's expression softens, revealing vulnerability, a rare glimpse into the philosopher behind the inventor. Tesla, voice contemplative. And consider this, though my notes never fully captured it. After the body quiets, consciousness may drift as resonant waves in the ether, reforming in distant harmonies, echoes of souls reuniting, unbound by time's illusion, a symphony waiting, not silence. Reporter, awestruck, throat tight. If we publish this, what then? Tesla, placing a hand on the reporter's shoulder, warmth radiating. Choose wisely, hide it, and the world slumbers on. Share it, and the great unveiling begins. Time draws near, the division between sleepers and seers. Know this, we are never alone. I depart, but the connection holds. No true death, only transformation. Touch my hand. Feel the energy that outlives us all. He extends his hand. The reporter clasps it, a faint glow in the reenactment, suggesting something transcendent. Tesla steps back, serene. Tesla, whispering, almost to himself, God is no distant thunder. God is the spark within, the love that forgives, the memory that awakens you to your essence. Final to our transition, Tesla turns to the window, staring into the lightning vein night. The reporter gathers his notes, exiting quietly, fade to the archive box, pages rustling once more. Narrator, VO. The reporter left that night, unaware it was their final encounter. Tesla passed in solitude, his legacy fragmented. These transcripts, concealed for decades in an obscure collection, emerge now like a signal from the ether. But ask yourself, if Tesla was right, if you are vibration, eternal and connected, what hidden frequency have you yet to tune? And who or what still watches from the shadows, waiting for your remembrance? Fade out. Silence lingers, broken only by distant thunder.